The final stream before they're actually uniforms, one of the biggest weeks in franchise history, and go figure, perhaps another league. The good and bad of it all, what matters most, what to be grateful for. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got takes for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck.
It's finally here, baby. Draft week is finally upon us, and it is finally the final episode before the uniforms are actually a thing, and it's none of this speculation, none of this leakage, none of that type of stuff. Cal McNair, Hannah McNair are going to be live in studio. You can see that right here on YouTube on the Sports Radio 610 channel. They were joined myself, John Lopez, Figgy Fig, 1 hour after the uniforms drop, which is going to happen at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then we can focus on the draft. Then we got 2 sleeps to the draft, 3 sleeps till the Texans are on the clock, and a very pivotal week. First time in franchise history that you're changing uniforms, and a pivotal draft, and the first time in a long time, if ever, where you feel like you have a Super Bowl window, for lack of a better term. Whether it's a delusional thought or not, that does seem to be kind of the thought that if you keep doing things the right way, that you might get that puncher's chance that you've never had with never being in the conference championship. Shout out to H&R out there in Cali. Shout out to Rick. Appreciate everyone for coming through. I'm not drinking a Red Bull. I'm drinking a Nitro coffee, which might not be much better. But here's the deal. So I can normally I'll get up at 7 and I'll clock out the show. I'll have a lot of it done. So I can do that, or I can just stay up later and then, get up at 8:15, get to the studio at about 8:30, 8:40 and be ready to go. Right now, we kind of know what the show is going to be, right? The uniforms are going to drop at 10. Cal and Hannah are going to be in studio at 11. So in between that time, can kind of figure some stuff out. I actually got the run sheet up, already got all the hits and all that type of stuff. So I'm good to go, man. And sometimes I can actually sleep on these things, which is a little bit crazy. So yeah, we'll see some uniforms. Primetime says he wants to see some beautiful uniforms. That's going to be subjective. That's going to be debatable. There are a couple of things that I will say about the uniforms. I think they're going to release a video. I'm not completely sure. I just know it's going to be at 10 a.m. on all social media platforms. So 10 a.m. they're going to drop them. Originally, we thought it was going to be a release party. The release party is actually a party to celebrate the unveiling, which is actually going to happen at 10. Not to be confused with the party / non-unveiling / veiling that they had where they showed people in secrecy. It's just been kind of a little bit of a disaster. Dennis asks for my thoughts on the unis. I'll give you the thoughts that I have so far. I'll start with the good. Let's start with the good on the uniforms. I think the road uniforms are going to end up being pretty sweet. And I can explain this. When they first came out, I don't know that people were pumped, but they damn sure weren't when they were on the models. But on the players, these look pretty good. And this is why I think these are going to be sick, because first of all, I think the players look sharp in them. I think there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of things you can do with them. But I also think these are going to be the uniforms they wear where they're playing the big ass road games. And I don't think any game gives fans more of a thrill than going on the road. And unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs or you're Baltimore or whatever, a lot of times you're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs to win a big game. And I just think over the course of CJ, Nico, Tank, Diggs, whoever else, I think these uniforms are going to provide a lot of memories. And I also think they look pretty good. You notice how much darker the blue is. I don't necessarily think that's going to look good if it's the primary jersey color. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to look pretty weird. It looks borderline black in jersey form. But I think on the road, I think these are going to look good. So I think the road uniforms are going to I think they're going to grow on a lot of people, and I think they're going to be really, really legit. I think they're going to be borderline the most historical. Also think that if you're going to buy a jersey, I think this is the one that you can wear the most. The other ones are going to be pretty loud. But I think this is kind of the low-key look. So if I were buying a jersey, I would go with this. If I were betting on a jersey to be historic, I would go with this. I think this was a very solid job. The road uniforms, 2 thumbs up. They've grown on me a lot. I never thought they were bad. I always thought they were an upgrade, but I like these a lot. I mean, especially when you start factoring in like visors, like look at Tank with the visor, all the creative stuff they can do with the helmet. I think the roads are nice. I think they're very, very nice. So 2 thumbs up on the roads. In other news, and this was the leak that came out. We've seen leaks, but this was the new one that has come out with a picture. And I mean, it's blatantly obvious. You have the new uniforms and you have the Texans right there. What looks like it's going to be the home uniform. If you are to believe it. I mean, why would you not? It's right there. It's the NFL draft headquarters. So, I mean, you hold off as long as you can. That's garbage. I think as nice as the road uniforms are, I think that as a home uniform, I think that's garbage. It looks black. It's not a creative design. It's basic. I actually think the original home uniforms were very meh. I think this is a total downgrade, and I think this is garbage. Changing the color. So as much as I like the road ones, I can't really say much about the home ones. I think they did a really bad job on those. And again, this is the most recent leak. I didn't like the homes when I saw them. Don't remember if this is the exact one, but that's weak as hell right there. I think the home uniforms stink. So I think the road ones are going to be great. I think the home uniforms are trash. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not the verdict on fashion. You guys see how goofy I dress at times. I mean, you can't keep up with my style. I'm either going to have like the slacks and the button up or the hoodie and stuff. So I'm the last person that is the verdict on fashion. So my opinion is my opinion. My opinion is based on just subjective uniform preference. I think that one of the things that is really not that serious when it comes to disagreements among sports fans, I think some people, especially on a Saturday watching college football or whatever, where there's more like random ass uniforms. I think if you're sitting there with your boys and you have 5 or 6 buddies sitting around drinking beer, watching the game, doing whatever you do, I think when some new uniforms show up, I would say a lot of times that's probably 50-50 or even less, you know? So that's just my take. I think the home jerseys are trash, and I think the road jerseys are sick, and I think that the road jerseys are going to end up being classics because the Texans are going to be playing some of their biggest games in those uniforms. I think the alternates, those are the types that, and we'll see them when they pop, but I think the alternates are going to be types that you're going to have to see in action. I think the merchandise possibilities are through the roof with the alternates. We've already seen the Cal McNair hat with that and the H-Town, the logo right there. I think that there's a lot of merchandise possibility there. So I think those will grow on you. But I think alternates, a lot of times, I think you got to see them on the field and see how people are rocking them, see how the team looks in them. So I'll let those be to be determined. Alternates, it just kind of depends. It depends on the situation. Sometimes it even depends on what the other squad's wearing. So that's just my take on that. Jacob says all jerseys look great when you're up by 2 scores. That's absolutely true. And that's the beauty of this uniform thing. The beauty of this uniform thing is that we used to be having discussions about dysfunctional organizations, incompetent people in the most important positions, the lack of talent on the field. We didn't even know what jerseys you were going to buy. There's a lot of possibilities now. So the fact that now we're talking about uniforms and disagreeing on uniforms, and there's a draft where the Texans are trying to take that next step. I think we've come a long way there. But I do look forward to seeing the reaction. Again, to reset, my opinion is I think the home jerseys suck. I think the road jerseys are badass. They're going to be historic. I think the alternates give a lot of possibilities for merchandise. And I think a lot of people are going to take advantage of that. As far as what they look like on the field, I think it's going to be determined. I think a lot of times it has as much to do with the shoes too. Like if you're having a lot of these color rushes and stuff, you got to see what the shoes look like. So that's my take on the jerseys and the uniforms. That's my take. Be sure to hit the like button. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Ain't no dumpster fire no more, I think is the right way to say it. For sure. Scott Davis, appreciate you. I'm just confused by releasing 2 different H's in 2 years. I like the previous H better, but now are they even going to be sold anymore? Are you talking about this one or that or that one? The one on the helmet. I want to answer your question or react to it. I don't this merchandise was not official. So this like right here, it's not NFL licensed gear. So if you're talking about this is just a typical thing. So I don't think like the other H, that's an NFL licensed H. This one is not. So I think the one thing that or not the one, but one of the things that Doug has done a really good job at, Doug Vosick, is merch. And I think they're going to be a little bit more this never technically got released. This is just the merch, and it came in blue too. So I don't think they're going to stop selling. I do think they'll probably lean a little bit more with their H, but this was just kind of a merch drop that they had, which is cool because I think they're going to do a lot of that. But yeah, I like this one. Let's just put it side by side real quick. Let's look at this one. Yeah, I do like this one better for sure. I'm with y'all on that. If you are looking at the H's, if you're just that one's a little bit. I guess the other one's just a little bit louder. Maybe covers the helmet a little bit, but I would assume that they would still do some stuff with some merch. So we'll see what they end up doing. And fortunately for us, we're less than 12 hours away from that. Gonna happen on In the Loop. So go to the Sports Radio 610 page. And then at 11, you'll see Cal and Hannah in studio. We'll react to that. I'm sure we'll do a video about that and keep that going as well. So we'll get into that. And then after the uniforms are finally out, we'll get to focus on what matters the most with the actual draft, which brings me to this. And I thought Lopez brought up a good question today on In the Loop. Is the Diggs trade the only splash? Because I think there's been talk about, and I know Stutz has put out the 18 of 23 stat, which I think is great. And by the way, you can join me and Stutz this Saturday. Daily Sports Club. They got plenty of parking, drink specials. I think they're even going to bring an exclusive menu for us. Daily Sports Club, 11 o'clock on Saturday. React to day 2/day 1 for the Texans, and then take in the rest of the draft. Is Diggs going to be the only splash, though? I think this is an interesting question because we look at Caserio. You're looking at the draft. You're seeing what the Texans have, and you're wondering, were they going to make an aggressive move? And you kind of forget. You naturally kind of forget, well, they've already made an aggressive move. Like on draft day, if Roger Goodell went up to the podium at 23 and he said, we have a 3-way trade, the Texans are trading the number 23 overall pick to the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for the 42nd pick and a second round pick next year, and we'll send that second round pick next year to Buffalo for Stephon Diggs. I mean, we would be saying that's one of the biggest moves of the draft, right? Like if the Eagles had made the AJ Brown trade 2 weeks before, it wouldn't be considered a draft day trade, but it would still be a huge move. So I wonder, with all this anticipation, and the reality is that move that Caserio made, it's not even going to count as, one of the 18 that Caserio has made. It won't make it 19, but it is pretty much a draft day trade. And I wonder if Caserio is going to kind of play it a little bit or a little less aggressive this time. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. I agree with Rick that Simmons and Diggs could be in play after the draft. I think the market's going to speak. So I could definitely see that for sure. I could definitely see that. But is Diggs going to be the only splash? I think the answer would be yes. I'm having some PTSD about a recent draft. And I know that this is kind of, it's not the same situation, but it's kind of the same dialogue leading up to the draft. There are similarities. There's obviously differences, and there are similarities. And the biggest difference is you don't have a football idiot and a POS making the decision. But there has been a situation where dialogue has been a little bit similar. And I go back to 2020 when the Texans didn't have a first-round pick. All that we were hearing was, man, the Texans really should get the best defensive lineman on the board. They got to get the best defensive lineman. Never mind Jonathan Taylor, which someone wrote an article and did segments on that. Never mind Antoine Winfield. Don't need to worry about that. They need to draft the best defensive lineman that they possibly can get, and they ended up with Ross Blacklock. I am not down with just drafting the best defensive lineman. I think it's a dangerous thing to do. I think at least in 2019, you had convinced yourself that you were a player away or something like that. You had Kansas City down 24-3, and you had yourself convinced. I don't think that the Texans are a deep enough football team to where they can attack things like that just yet. I think Kansas City can. I think Kansas City probably has 3 positions that they're really going to look at, and then they're going to figure it out. I think the Texans are one of the most depth-lacking teams in the NFL, and I don't think they should handcuff themselves to drafting a D lineman. I think if you're with your interior guys on the D line and the versatility that you have with Autry, if you have just a rotation of guys at D tackle, I don't think it's the worst thing. And I think there's other areas, and there's going to be other opportunities in which you can take advantage of stuff. We might not even know about these opportunities. I talked about this today. The Titans didn't want Will Levis last year. I mean, they can sit here and act like they loved him, but they didn't want him. The opportunity presented itself, and then they wanted him, but they had pick 12. There were reports that they were willing to trade up for C.J. Stroud. That's how bad they wanted to go get a quarterback. They passed on Will Levis. Will Levis was right there at 12. If they thought Will Levis was a franchise quarterback, they would have taken him there. You don't pass on a franchise quarterback for what they took. So they can try to convince themselves now, and sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it falls into your lap. But when the Texans traded pick 33 in the Will Anderson trade. Arizona inherited it, and then Tennessee, after round one, they readjusted their thought process. That's why I think it's almost dangerous to even talk about what you want right now and what the Texans want right now. Because a lot of times you reevaluate things once you see what happens in the draft. This team in front of us picked this, so we are going to have the opportunity to pick this. This guy slid. Why did he slide? I have no idea. Damn, we really loved that guy. He went at the end of the draft, so now we just got to completely reshuffle. Titans didn't want Will Levis last year. They ended up reevaluating and deciding they did. Not, they might try to convince you now that we thought he was a franchise quarterback. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. You didn't. If you thought he was a franchise quarterback, you're not passing on him at 12. You're damn sure not waiting until the next day to trade up for him. If you thought that, then you're probably aggressively trying to get there from 20 to 32 when he slides, right? Like, even if you just decided, okay, this guy's better. If you think he's that good, a franchise quarterback, you're telling me you're not trading your ass up to the back end of the first round to get him? Baltimore did that with Lamar Jackson when he fell. Happens all the time. Tennessee reevaluated, and they decided it was worth it. Maybe that happens with the Texans on day one, day two. But I just think it's a dangerous, almost, I don't want to say pointless, but it's almost like a pointless thing to do, to start saying what you want when you're sitting at 42. I think you react as stuff goes on, and then, when you get to 20, 25, oh my gosh, is this guy going to fall? And then at the end of it, boom, let's check it out. But that's me. Who do I hope falls to 42? I would love if Kool-Aid was there. I don't know if Kool-Aid's going to be there. If Kool-Aid's there, I think you're in damn good shape drafting a guy like that. I know he had a bad game against Texas, but if Kool-Aid's there, I can get down with that. Hell, if Robinson's there, I can get down with that too. I think D'Amico would like that. But draft the best D lineman, really? Is that what we want? I don't know about all that. I'm not there. I'm just not there at all. When does the draft anxiousness start, though? Like, from a Texans point of view, this is a question I'm asking y'all. Be sure to put it in the comments. When does the anxiousness start? Because I think there's a certain level of relaxation. Last year, it was nerves. Like, you weren't sleeping. You probably weren't sleeping. If you're a diehard, you weren't sleeping fully Monday. You weren't sleeping fully Tuesday. You weren't sleeping fully Wednesday. Thursday, you woke up and it started getting extra crazy. Draft for the Texans. This one's a little bit more relaxed. But at what point do you start getting anxious? I would say the first point where you get anxious, if you're looking at this through Texans lenses and the localized lenses, I would say at 15 is where I would be. Because I want to see what Indianapolis does. Now, I think Indianapolis is still a threat in the division. Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson, I think they played half a game together, was what I saw. So what Shane Steichen might be able to dial up there, I think I'm at least intrigued by. And I also wonder what they're going to do in regards to weapons. There's been talk about Brock Bowers, which tight end in the first round just never really works out. I think the last 9 years, no tight end selected has made a Pro Bowl in the first round. I think there's been 19 the last 20 years, and it's never really like something that looks like a really good pick. But I would say 15, maybe when Jacksonville picks, but maybe when you get in the 20s, you start falling in love with someone and you start trying to connect dots to get them there. That might be when the anxiousness begins. I like Frank's mindset, though, more Friday morning. So you're just going to be sitting, chilling, doing your thing, and then you're going to wake up on Friday, and that's when the anxiousness begins. Hell, that could even be Thursday night if you actually know who's out there. So that's going to be a real interesting viewing experience for sure when it comes to the draft, the anxiousness. I do want to see what Indianapolis does, though. They're kind of lurking in like a random ass territory. There's been even talk about them taking Worthy at 15. If they do that, that's fine. I know that the draft guys will, try to hype that up. I watched it. I just don't think Xavier Worthy is that good of a receiver to where you're taking him 15. Maybe late first round, maybe if you already have a squad, but I don't know. That doesn't really scare me. I'm not as big of a Xavier Worthy fan as a lot of people, but I am intrigued by seeing what Indy does. I think that's when it's going to be the real intense. By the way, me and Stutz will be in here watching the draft. I'm going to do a split series. He's going to do first half. I'm going to do second, vice versa, day 2. And then day 3, we're going to have the party at Daily Sports Club. So be on the lookout for that. ETSP, worst case, Colts take Arnold or Mitchell. Mitchell's interesting. There's that diabetic report now, which has me wondering what they're thinking. I think it would be a big mistake to take Worthy over Mitchell. Mr. High would rather have Leggett. I saw his interview with John Crumpler. Shout out to John Crumpler on the Texans Wire doing his thing. Leggett seems like he wants to go to Carolina, but who knows? The uniform process, I talked about it. I did a video on it. I think it's been pretty entertaining, to be honest. I love the fact that they're finally changing the uniforms. It has been a hell of a lot of hype. And look, it's not like the leaks are coming out of the organization. It's not like the leaks are for a lack of effort, but it doesn't make it any less amusing, right? I mean, all this buildup is to build mystery. So, yeah, they're harmless leaks. I don't think anyone's like. It's not like back in the day when someone's picking up the phone and calling Rappaport or something like that, or Peter King. So I don't think it's like that kind of leak, but I do think it's been entertaining. I think they should be able to laugh at it at least. Between the models that they trotted out to the media to the warehouse and stuff. I do think it's been an amusing process. I am glad the process is done, and we can focus on the draft for sure. What round do I stop caring? I care the whole time, brother. It's the draft, man. We'll be at Daily Sports Club, maybe shot 4. I don't know, maybe the 4th, but yeah, the whole time. Jacob says diabetes is the new S2 test. I do remember they said that about Mark Andrews. The build-up sucks for the home jersey. You ain't lying, man. Golly. Hey, can't wait to hear that one. Never been excited for a season since last year. Appreciate that. Any prospect hope to land on day 3? I mean, I'm interested to see what the running backs look like. I think there's a lot of possibilities on that. I don't know when Jared Wiley is going to go out of TCU. I know I've been talking about Jatavian Sanders. Jared Wiley, another Texas commit. I could see him going in round 3. I like Wiley a lot. Was actually quarterback for Quentin Johnston back in high school. Tom Herman really didn't use him very much. Big dude. Good receiving threat. Probably doesn't block as well as you'd think. Blocks better than probably any tight end on the Texans, though, not named Tegan Quintariano. But Tegan Quintariano cannot stay healthy. So maybe like a Jared Wiley, a running back in the 6th or 7th round. I know this is a Texas. I like Jordan Whittington. I think he's going to make a team. I think he can line up in the slot. I think he can line up at running back. I think with the return rules, he's nice. He might not even get drafted. But yeah, that's the Wiley running back. Something like that would be the day 3. But again, who knows what the heck's going to happen? I also think they should draft a quarterback. If they don't, if they know that Case Keenum is going to be the final year of his NFL career, and they know that Davis Mills is in the final year of his contract, and unless Davis Mills wants to be like the lifetime backup, drafting a developmental quarterback like a Travis or a Spencer Rattler, knowing that they're not going to play, if you could develop them, because that's going to be a developmental year, they're obviously not going to step on the field. Hopefully they never step on the field. But if they like a quarterback, you could have a cheap backup if all things go right, because with those two guys, you're eventually going to need the insurance, especially with the extra picks. So there's that. I don't like Jonathan Brooks as much as everyone else. Everyone seems to be high on Jonathan Brooks, talking about him being RB1. I'm not as high on Jonathan Brooks as a lot of people. I actually think if Jonathan Brooks had come back to school, I think there might be a case made that he might be the third best back on the team. I think Baxter's going to be better. And I think Blue is a little bit more versatile and can do a lot of things. So I don't hate Jonathan Brooks. I hate Jonathan Brooks if you're talking about taking him in the second round or the early third. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think that's just kind of a prisoner of the moment. It's not a good running back class, so we're going to say this. So I'm not as really high on that. Now, you don't this is a big no-no. You don't find a running back in the undrafted pool. And you don't use Arian Foster as an example. I mean, that's idiotic. Name me another undrafted running back that's just mashing right now. You got to take it serious. You got to invest, and they need another running back that is going to be able to do something that they trust. You can't have Dare Agumbawale as the guy that you trust second most. There's opportunity with where they are at those picks to get a running back. The Arian Foster thing, that's crazy. I mean, that's like saying, well, don't draft a quarterback till the 6th round because Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. That's asinine. I think that would be a massive mistake, especially with the opportunity there. Eckler. Okay, there you go. You got another one. What's he doing now? I mean, it's hard to do. I don't think that's a good idea. No offense. I'm not going to put Mr. High in timeout. I like Mr. High. Do you think this team, we can get another Rookie of the Year candidate? I don't know. It wouldn't have to be like an offensive guy or something. I would think it would have to be an offensive guy. Last year it was pick 2 and pick 3. Let's not call him Rex Burkhead 2.0 until they start trusting him to run the rock in critical situations again. I think that would be absolute craziness. But the uniform process, I would say it's been amusing and entertaining. That would be my thought on it. Tomorrow we'll react to the uniforms. I'm going to be at the party. I'm probably going to pull up there about, I don't know. I saw that there was I like eating at the Post. And I saw that there's a new bar there. So, I've been on the cleanse, but hey, maybe a little something, maybe not. But yeah, I'll be out there tomorrow. We'll do the live stream after. We'll have the reaction to the uniforms. We'll have the pictures of the uniforms as well. Probably a video in the middle of the day as well. A lot of content. Y'all know that there's no handcuffs on this. I would say probably after by the way, you got to be on YouTube because Cal and Hannah are going to be on. So it's going to be a busy day. I'll probably come home, do a video before I roll out to the party, reacting to the unis. Then we'll go to the party, and then we'll do the stream. So you guys know this. I think we've done 800 videos in 18 months or something like that. 18, 19 months, something like that. So that's just kind of how it goes. Content don't stop. Gonna be fun. Timeouts. We're good. We're good here. Is it considered day drinking at 5, or is that just happy hour? Day drinking to me is 11, right? 10. You get a beer in the shower. I don't know about all that. Man, we're talking about Priest Holmes now. Priest Holmes, he made more than a decent career of himself. Priest, I remember Priest in the Big 12 title game back in the day. Ricky Williams was actually at fullback. There was a dude named Sean Mitchell at running back, and then you had Priest, 3 touchdowns, Big 12 championship game by way of San Antonio. That's not a way to live, though, with the undrafted running back lifestyle. We don't want that. Invest in the backs. Second round pick. Jonathan Taylor. Christian McCaffrey was a first-round pick. Etienne was a first-round pick. Like that's like, let's just look at the top rushers. And I'm just doing this just to show that you got to take the running back position somewhat serious. Let's just look at the top rushers in the league last year. Christian McCaffrey, first-round pick. Derrick Henry, was he second, third? Williams was late. There's an example. Cook was second round. Swift, second round. Connor, was he second or third? He might have been a little bit later. He had the cancer, right? Najee first. Mixon, I think second. Montgomery, I think second. Etienne first. Brees Hall second. Bijan first. Saquon, like you gotta invest it, man. A lot of examples. Dalvin was second, I think. I'm pretty sure he was second too. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Let me know if you like the uniforms. Check me out. 10 a.m. immediate reaction to the uniforms when they drop on YouTube. I actually got the link in the description here. So subscribe to the Sports Radio 610 channel. Cal and Hannah in studio joining us at 11. Hannah's going to come for maybe mine and Lopez's head. And then on to the draft, on to the party, on to the good times. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. Appreciate you for coming through. Always remember, we're all in it together when it comes to this Texans game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.